This is a cornet. It's very similar to the trumpet. As you can see, the trumpet is larger. The only difference is how it's constructed. The cornet has the tubing actually increases in size throughout the length of the instrument. So here, it's where the mouthpiece goes in, it's the smallest diameter, and increases very slowly all the way through the instrument until the bell. The trumpet, the diameter of the tubing stays constant throughout the instrument, and then it starts to expand towards the bell. The difference between a baritone and a euphonium: baritone is constructed like the trumpet with the same tubing size going throughout, and the euphonium is like the cornet where the tubing gets larger as it goes through. You can see that the cornet and the trumpet mouthpieces are different. The cornet mouthpiece is smaller than the trumpet mouthpiece. They will not fit in the different horns. So you cannot use a trumpet mouthpiece in a cornet, and you cannot use a cornet in a trumpet mouthpiece. They do make shank adapters, what they call them, but it's best just to have the correct mouthpiece for the instrument. The cornet, again, functions exactly like the trumpet. Most of the music can be played on either one. The serial numbers for the instruments most often are on the second valve casing. Somewhere stamped on there, there'll be a series of numbers. There are a few manufacturers who hide their serial numbers, but for most of them, and most of the ones that we carry, the serial number will be either on the back of the valve casing or sometimes on the front. The valves, you can see, are made up of quite a few different pieces. You have the piston itself. This white piece is actually a round valve guide. Inside there's a spring. You have the valve stem, the valve casing cap, and the valve button. Now, when dealing with the valves, you have to be very, very careful with them. If the valves are dropped, they will bend, and it's difficult to get them back into perfectly straight. They have to be absolutely straight in order to fit into the casing. When it comes to oiling the valves, the students should take the valves out. They should have a lint-free cloth. The lint-free is important because any sort of lint that will get on the valve will actually make the piston not go up and down, or it will be sluggish. There are, I think, polyester or nylon cloths on the market that work really well. Certain household fabrics work well. An old handkerchief is really nice. Usually they're made out of a higher quality fabric. When it comes to oiling, let me get these out of the way. The piston, it doesn't take much oil. The piston should come out of the casing, a drop of oil on the bottom and on the top, and then in between will be plenty. It will go back in the casing. You have to line it up with the valve guide, and usually just a little twist will set it in there. Now you can see that the valve doesn't move. If it wasn't in there correctly, the valve will actually spin. So you have to try and seat it in there and then secure down the top casing cap. And then all they have to do is work it up and down. See, it snagged there a little bit, but then the oil got in the valves. And that's how to properly oil the valves. They should oil them every time they play, being very careful, taking them out one at a time, because they are designed to go in the casing that they're made for. So number 1 goes in here, number 2, and number 3. And this manufacturer actually puts number 1 and number 3 on the casing itself. And that's the Cornet.